Hi, I'm Etta Rosa from Etta Rosa LLC. We are a paralegal virtual firm, and I wanted to talk to you about Monday Madness. So, in law firms, usually Mondays are the craziest days of the week. And I think in general, business Mondays are crazy. And it's because we don't really organize ourselves and we don't really prepare ourselves for that week until like the day of or a week before. And we shouldn't really be doing that. We should always be ahead of the game. I always believe that we should always be 2 weeks ahead of the game. So you should be looking at your calendar 2 weeks ahead of time. So that way you have 14 days to figure out what is needed for each event, whether it's anywhere from a simple staff meeting to a hearing to a trial. Whatever the case may be, you always want to be 2 weeks ahead of the game, and if possible, 30 days. I mean, that would be ideal, but it just really depends on your firm and how it's ran and how litigated the files are. So if we want to be realistic, let's just stick to the 2 weeks for now, but always shoot for more. The more, the better. But anything can happen and anything can change and be canceled within 30 days. So I think 2 weeks is a little more realistic when it comes to law anyway. The first thing I always love to tell my clients is that you always want to be in the known. You always want to stay on top of everything, make sure that everything was filed properly, it was accepted by the court, everything was signed, everything is to where it needs to be. And if it wasn't, you really want to find out and really want to be in the known as to what was not done and what was done improperly. You never want to get to a court hearing and have the judge look at you and be like, oh, you didn't do this correctly. Attorney never wants to look bad in court. So you always want to be in the known. And also, my firm belief is that you shouldn't be preparing for a hearing, a trial, a day before. You should be days before. So I never understood where that whole, let's just plan for everything the day before. Like, that should never happen, especially in law. You should always be doing this the day of planning. So if you are scheduling a mediation, if you're scheduling a hearing, especially if you have a trial orders are given usually 6 months in advance, depending on the district you're in and the judge's calendar. But usually you have a good 6 months to figure it out. So you have 6 months to actually get your file together and get prepared for the trial. So why are we scoundering around a day or the week of the trial? We should not be doing that. You had 6 months to prepare, and I think that we underutilize that time. So I feel if you prepare yourself more, you'll be less behind the calendar. Another thing you want to look at is you never just want to leave the filing. You always want to check your filings. Always want to be on top of your filings. I would say every hour you should check to see what was filed on your cases, by whom, what's the argument. I use LexisNexis, so I use Brief Check a lot. So you might want to, run the document through Brief Checks. And Brief Check basically gives you the links of any statute, of any case law that's being utilized in the pleading. So it's an easy kind of lookup matter. So maybe you can't look it up right away, but at least you'll have it for when you have the time to actually review the pleading. And that's always a good one and an easy way to do things. You also want to never give opposing counsel the upper hand. You always want to make sure that you are on top of your case. At the end of the day, these clients are either paying you through the settlement, through the trial, jury verdict, or they're paying you on a retainer or monthly. However it is, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid, and you want to make sure that your service is being valued and that you actually earn your money. Like, you never want to be those attorneys that are just collecting money. You never want that reputation. I know attorneys are a lot reputation is important to them. So we want to make sure that you always have the upper hand on opposing counsel, try to predict the numbers that they're going to come up with as far as settlement or the argument that they want to come up with, anything like that. I mean, you've been in this long enough, and if you haven't, you have colleagues that have, and I always say that's one of my things where you want to reach out to your colleagues and kind of go over things that maybe you're stuck on. Always utilize your sources. Always. It's very important. And you also always want to be ahead. You never want to stay behind. And if you are always constantly behind, you're never really going to grasp your case your case load. So you always want to make sure that you're on top of things and that you're making sure that your pleadings are correct, that they're filed in the correct case. I've seen a lot of pleadings that were filed in the incorrect case, and then all of a sudden they get to the hearing, they're like, what case are you calling on? This was filed in the wrong case. Things like that. You never want to look unprepared. You never want to look like, it's a messy law firm. Always want to keep your A game, especially for your clients. At the end of the day, we do this for the clients. So we want to make sure that our product is as perfect as possible and it's in the client's best interest. After all, that is one of the oaths that both paralegals and attorneys take on, is that we want to make sure that the client's best interest is always at hand. So I hope these little tidbits helped. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me. My contact information is down below. Bye.